Welcome back to Business Focus on TV3. We're live on TV3 Ghana on Facebook, DSTV channel 279, all across the world on 3news.com. What you see behind me is how we started the year when it comes to price of petroleum products. Now you see the bars going up there. The red bar is for the first pricing window. The second bar, which is the green bar, is for the first, that's the first and the second pricing windows. Now take a look at this. In January, we started this year, a liter of petrol selling at 6 cedis 80 pesos. In January, that's January 1, 2022, diesel was selling at 6 cedis 85 pesos. Fast forward to the ending of May, that's the second pricing window in the month of May, was selling at 9 cedis 85 pesos and then 11 cedis 75 pesos respectively. That's for petrol and diesel. Now, in the first pricing window in the month of June, we saw petrol going up to 10 cedis 40 pesos thereabout, and then diesel also going up to 11 cedis, almost 40 pesos. Now, what we're learning, in fact, it was between 11 cedis 40 pesos and 12 cedis 40 pesos. That was for the first pricing window in the month of June. Fuel prices have gone up in the second pricing window in the month of June, which took effect over the weekend. A number of the oil marketing companies have effected their price changes now, with the market leader, Goel, having now petrol selling at 12 cedis, that's 10 cedis 99 pesos, 10 cedis 99 pesos, and diesel selling at 13 cedis 90 pesos thereabout. Now, this is what you're seeing. When there was the increase in the prices of petroleum products at the pumps, this is what led to the transport fares increase. Take a look at this. In January, when we started 6 cedis 80 pesos for petrol and 6 cedis 85 pesos for diesel, there was no price increase. Fast forward to February, when it was increased to 7 cedis 99 pesos for petrol and 7 cedis 99 pesos for diesel, we saw a 15% increase in transport fares. In May, when it was increased, diesel selling at 8 cedis 29 pesos and petrol per liter selling at 8 cedis 29 pesos as well, we saw an increase of 20% in transport fares. That's what we witnessed between January and now. There's been a 35% increase cumulatively in the transport fares in this country. In June, now what we're seeing is petrol is selling at 10 cedis 99 pesos per liter, and then diesel 13 cedis 99 pesos per liter. Now, from what we're picking, the transport unions actually went into the meeting with the transport minister with a 15 to 20% increase in transport fares proposal. Now, there was some negotiation and there was a decision to settle for 10%, between 10 and 15%. By Wednesday, we'll get to know how much transport fares are going to go up, either by 10% or 15%. But that's what we're learning. If you are driving your car now, you have to get about 50 Ghana cedis to get a gallon of petrol, because we measure a gallon of petrol by 4.5 liters. So if you multiply 4.5 by the 10 cedis 99 pesos for petrol, almost about 50 Ghana cedis. Now, for diesel, a lot of the transport unions have their vehicles running on diesel. A lot of the vehicles we use for public transport runs on diesel. So 13 cedis 99 pesos is what a liter of diesel is selling for at most of the pumps. You multiply that by 4.5, you get a gallon. Now, almost 60 Ghana cedis is what a gallon of diesel is selling for now. Remember, we're buying it just about half that price in January. Now, take a look at this. When the transport fares were increased in May by 20%, these were the fares. I sat in the public transport over the weekend, trotro from Kaneshie to Dodowa. I saw the price list in the car. Look at this. This is the Kaneshie Research Branch GPRT of TUC. The price list they posted in the vehicle. Dodowa, from Kaneshie to Dodowa, previously, before the May increase, was 9 cedis 80 pesos. When the price went up by 20%, it went up to 11 cedis 70 pesos from Kaneshie to Dodowa. From Kaneshie to Specialized. Specialized is on the Oyarifa Road. Now you're paying 9 cedis 80 pesos. Abokobi, 9 cedis 80 pesos. Oyarifa, Kaneshie, 8 cedis 90 pesos. From Kaneshie to Damfa, 8 cedis. Kaneshie to Adenta, 8 cedis. Kaneshi to Ashiye, 9 cities, 80 pesos. Kaneshi to Medina went up from 5 cities, 50 pesos to 6 cities, 60 pesos. Now, if you take a look at the next slide, you look at the other prices as well, the transport fares. That is what happened with specifically the Kaneshi Research Branch GPRTU. Kaneshi to School Junction, for those of you who live at that's School Junction, Ajirigano area, you were in, before the May increase of 20%, you were paying 7 cities, 50 pesos. It went up to 9 cities. Kaneshi to American House, now you are paying 6 cities, 80 pesos. Ajirigano, 9 cities, 80 pesos. Nana Chrome, 9 cities, 80 pesos. Boche, 8 cities. UPSA, from Kaneshi to UPS, 6 cities, 60 pesos. Shiashi, New Legon, you see that in that order. This is just one of the many price increases we saw in the month of May. Just to put this in context, if the prices, that's the transport fares, goes up by 10%, as we're learning, look at this example. Let's say you have someone who is living in Dodowa, and remember, a lot of people are moving to these areas because the further away you move from the central business district, the lower your rent. Because people are paying lower 200 cedis for 1 bedroom or chamber and hall in those areas. And because salaries are not that much, people are moving to Adenta, Dodowa, Oyarifa, and those areas and coming to work in the central business district. So we picked an average worker who earns 1,000 cedis a month. And look at this. If you're earning 1,000 cedis a month and you're living in Dodowa, you are paying 11 cedis, 70 pesos now if you are working at Kaneshi. If the prices go up by 10%, transport fares, you're going to pay 12 cedis, 80 pesos. That's going to be the possible new fare. Because 10% of 11 cedis, 70 pesos is 1 cedi, 17 pesos. If you add it to the existing price that your transport fares you're paying now is 12 cedis, 80 pesos. In and out, we even slashed it down to 12 cedis, 50 pesos because most of the time, these transport owners like to take a bit of the increase. If it goes up from 11 cedis, 70 pesos to 12 cedis, 50 pesos, you are spending 25 cedis a day in and out. That's if you are taking a straight car from Kaneshi to Dodowa where you live. You're going to spend 125 cedis every week on transportation. If you earn 1,000 cedis, that's 500 cedis of your money gone on transportation alone. We are not talking about food, rent. You're not even going to save any money. That's the rest of the 500. That's the situation if you're earning 1,000 cedis. And remember, most of the public sector workers, about 70 to 80% of them earn less than 1,500. So that's why we picked this salary, for example, of 1,000 cedis and how much you're going to spend on transport, 500 cedis a month if you're living in Dodowa and then you are coming to work at Kaneshi, as we've seen a lot of people move. So we asked the question, the Tema Refinery, what is the state of the refinery and what good would it have made in this situation for Ghanaians in mitigating the impact of these increases in prices of petroleum products as we are seeing at the pumps? Guess what? We have the man who's been following this keenly in studio with us. Nana Moisi the seventh, Executive Director of the Institute for Energy Security. Nana, it's good to have you. Good evening to you.
Good evening to you, Alfred, and to your viewers.
This is a reflection of the reality of the Ghanaian people, isn't it?
We have put it out on numerous occasions that until toll and bust are brought into operational mode and work effectively, we'll continue seeing this price surge on the local market because we have become price takers. Whatever happens on the international market impacts us directly with no form of cushioning. Meanwhile, both toll and bust were built to ensure that we are both price and supply security risk managed to some level. But as we speak now, it comes on us directly. And unfortunately, our cedi keeps declining in value as well against the US dollar that we use to import these fuels. And so it becomes very important to position toll and bust in the discussion of fuel pricing in Ghana today.
And at the moment, we understand that the Interim Management Committee of Tema Refinery, this is a release that just came through. In fact, you got this over the weekend. that the Interim Management Committee of Tema Refinery has finished investigations into activities of some staff deemed to have caused financial loss to the company. Investigations began as far back as October 2021. 6 senior officers of TOR were interdicted and made to face a disciplinary committee set up to offer a fair hearing before any sanctions were meted out. In fact, what we're learning as well is that on Friday, June 17, one of the senior officers interdicted over the period of investigation was also recalled, and he was paid his salary in full. Now, look at all what's happening at the refinery now. You are close to the action. You know what goes on in there. How do you react to this? I mean, the interdiction of these persons, it took almost a year. I mean, we have this interim management committee that has been in office for over a year now. What is happening at the refinery, Nana?
Alfred, we had this conversation some 3 months ago,
Indeed,
if you remember, and we spoke about the interim management committee and the reports that they brought out in relation to thefts and money lost to the refinery, close to 20 million thereabouts. I may declare to you that this is just an exercise to save the situation, and that's what we expect of the interim management committee. It's not what they are doing. They were using it to buy time and justify their stay at the refinery. That's what exactly I told you. Today, what comes forward, what we're seeing is that these people are almost innocent, all of them. In fact, they recall some last 2 months.
Last 2 months?
About 2 guys, and they are recalling others also to come back. It means that no money was lost, maybe the case, or it was made up just to justify the stay of the interim management committee. But we are happy to hear today and know that we have substantive management in place and a board in place. And that's where we expect them to deliver to Ghanaians the expectations that we have of them.
But they were accused of a number of things, including stealing of some of the wires and others that the taxpayer had financed for the refinery to do its work. And that, at the time, I recall, had a number of you raising questions, because clearly we know some of the dealings at the refinery which have not been documented, but people are benefiting from the inefficiencies and the weaknesses at the refinery. That's something that you have also looked into.
Of course, we know and accept the fact that many things go amiss at the refinery. But for you to interdict more than close to 20 people and accuse them of stealing, and after some months you recall them and apologize.
And you pay them in full.
And pay them in full, you know, brings to the fore a lot of questions to be answered by the interim management committee. Is it that you deliberately did that, or you caught the wrong people? That's something that should be asked.
It could be the case that something is going on.
And these guys who went home have gone through a lot of, you know, challenge. One guy tells me that, look, my wife had to leave me because I was only surviving on half salary, which could not even pay our rent. Today, you call the guy back and you say, I apologize. That is all. You know, we don't do this thing this way. And so we must get serious as a country, and we must work to bring TOR back.
What's the problem with the Tema Refinery, or at the Tema Refinery, that has led to a state of affairs now?
Inefficiency, political interference. You have the wrong people in the right place. You have wastage in the system, and you have the wrong management in place, or ineffective management in place. Over the last 5 years, we have had almost 5 management teams, including the IMC.
5?
Almost about 3 or 4 boards in 5 years or 6 years. It means we didn't get our act together. We didn't put in place the right people. And if you don't have the right people in charge, then of course, you are bent on running the refinery down, and you take the path of unprofitability. And so for us to bring back TOR into operational mode, put them on the path of sustained profitability into the future, many things have to be done, and they must be done well.
Let's take a listen to the Energy Minister, Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh, when he appeared before the vetting committee in Parliament before being appointed. He tried to explain, in fact, he had an appreciable knowledge about the problems at all. Take a listen to him and what he's done over the period.
TOR and its crippling debts, and its money, infrastructure issues, equipment issues, it's all over. And we need, as a country, to only know one thing. Since the Fourth Republic, every president has talked about value addition of our natural resource. It just so happens that the last natural resource the good Lord gave us, which is oil, we already have a refinery to be able to add value. But interestingly, since we started mining oil commercially, the refinery seems to be losing its ability to do its work. So we should collectively, apart from the debt overhang, which is nearly $250 million, we should collectively decide that we don't want to lose TOR. We have to find the right partnerships, managerial, infrastructure, equipment, to enable TOR to work, and also invite other refineries into the system to make it even better. But like you said, the challenges are everywhere. People owe them, they are not able to collect. They owe them, they also owe people who are on their necks trying to even take part of their business.
Well, that's Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh. He says TOR owes people that they're even trying to take part of TOR. That's the reality of the situation. This is the Minister of Energy talking there.
It's true. Alfred, they are unable to pay their water bill, their electricity bill. They have challenge paying. Even the insuring the facility, government have to intervene. Other than that, nobody will want to patronize TOR. Today, the worker of TOR have to wait after the end of the month, maybe a week or two before you receive his salary. For many years, Provident Fund have not been paid. Other fringe benefits have not been paid to them. People have gone on retirement. For more than 4 years, they've not received their package. The worker of TOR go to the TOR clinic and struggles to get medication from the same facility. And if your Provident Fund is not paid and the other things are not paid, you have a challenge because most of the staff, peg their Provident Fund or, hedge it against the rental of the accommodation. And so if for years it's not being paid, it means that they'll be forced out of their rooms. And it's creating some psychological, disturbances for these staff.
Just for the benefit of our viewers, this is the Tema Refinery. That's what you're seeing on the screen now. This is a multi-million-dollar installation. And to think that this was built as far back as 1960, when we had not even discovered oil in commercial quantity. Several years on, we discovered oil in commercial quantity in 2007. We started commercial production in 2010. And the refinery that's supposed to refine the crude that we have been blessed with has been run down. We now have to go and import finished products with the Ghanaian cedi converted into dollar, putting pressure on the cedi. And then eventually we have to pay more to buy fuel, petrol and diesel at the pumps. Nana, what's going on? Tell me.
This facility was built when the Ghanaian population was just around 7 million. Today we are close to 30 million.
Indeed.
It was built with a capacity of about 25,000 barrels per stream day. Today we have the same 25,000 barrels per stream day. If it had to run, it had to start today. And we consume almost about 85,000 barrels per day as a country. And so if you're running full stream, even at the 25,000 barrels per day, it means that you have a supply challenge. You might need to import. And anytime you import crude or even the finished product from far, what you are doing is you are putting pressure on your own local currency. And so the issues we have in there is quite there. We only pray that the steps that we hear as at yesterday, if they have to go through, then there could be some, savings for us before the end of the year.
You made some recommendations. In fact, there's a statement you put together Friday, even before this release from the ministry, making recommendations as to how the dying refinery can be revived or resurrected, for that matter. What should we be paying attention to so as not to lose out on the benefits of this refinery? Nana.
I see you trying to stoke additional debates or see what opportunity that we have.
Indeed.
Even in the midst of COVID and the Russian-Ukrainian war. Today, refinery margins have gone up because there's squeeze in the supply of fuel on the global market because of the Russian-Ukraine war. And we are in Europe and the Americas, they are in the summer. In the summer, America depends so much on gasoline for transportation, while Europe depends so much on diesel for mobility or transportation. And you have to get a different spec of diesel for the summer, and they require some additives, including urea, that we get from same Russia and Ukraine. And so the inputs, the squeeze in the supply of the inputs creates a squeeze in the supply of the product itself. And so when there's a short supply, of course, it becomes, the sellers get a field day. And so refiners have seen growth in earnings from the margins more than 400% since last year.
More than 400%.
This is the time that Tema Refinery should crack a crude and benefit if they have to procure it by themselves. If they cannot, it presents a good opportunity for another partner to bring in the crude for them to refine on tolling basis and get a fee. If they're able to move from their current 25,000 barrels per day by fixing the exploded furnace that happened in 2017 and move to about 45,000 per day, per stream day, it means that within 20 days, they can refine 1 million barrels. 1 million barrels, when you run the CDU, the primary unit, on tolling basis, and you even take $2.5 per barrel, in 22 days, you'll be earning about $2.2 million as a refinery. So why are you not cracking? And so it become very important at this time for Ghana to attract a partner or for Tor to import its own crude and earn more beyond the tolling agreement.
So let's go through the figures again because it's quite enticing. You're talking about $22 million. This is what, if we had Tor expanding its capacity, we could actually earn at a time like this. Instead of rather being the recipients of the impact of the Russia-Ukraine war, we can actually be beneficiaries.
Of course.
Of
if you have to even import the crude, either by yourself or the partner who want to bring in crude, if they choose to pick it from Ghana, this is what will happen. The average crude oil exporter of our indigenous crude, okay, to the Americas will take about 22, 25 days to get there.
Right.
Look at this market. That's very volatile in terms of price.
Indeed.
If the person says, I'm selling it to Ghana or to Tor, or the person who is partnering with Tor should pick it a short distance, you save that seller of the crude cost in terms of freight and save them from the risk of volatility.
Right.
Okay. What you also do is you save the buyer also the freight charges. If Tor should buy that crude, they are saving themselves that freight charge. It becomes a profit for them, and they crack it and they make more money. Beyond making money, Tor as an entity or that facility you see there, it's a ground to train engineers. We have only one refinery, and we are training petroleum engineers at KNUST, for example. What facility or machine do they use for training? If Tor is not running, it means that you are bringing up engineers who only read engineering from the book, no hands-on experience. Today, we've seen a lot of these Tor workers, skilled workers, leaving Ghana to other countries. And we have seen Dangote come to town last month seeking to start recruitment from Ghana.
Dangote is recruiting for his refinery in Nigeria from Ghana.
Exactly.
The experienced Tema refinery engineers.
And guys are waiting for Dangote to quote, good salary for them to leave. There's also another refinery coming up that in the next 2-3 years, they may be refining at about 120,000 barrels per day.
Where is that?
It's in Ghana. By the end of this year, they will start with 45,000 barrels per day.
A private
Of course.
refinery.
Of course.
120,000 barrels per day.
And I can tell you already, some toll workers have moved.
Some toll workers have moved and gone to that private refinery.
They have moved. And so by the time you get a strategic partner, you might have lost all the skilled personnel that can run the machine. And that machine will be forced to stand idle, continue standing idle. And so time is of essence for us to kick in, save the refinery, stop the staff turnover, maintain the staff, and make money as a country.
So what's happening at the refinery there now, as we speak?
We have an indication over the last 1.5 months that 3 companies presented proposal to toll. One called, as a fintech, yes. Then another, Vitol and its partners. Then another company. Governments have given clear indication to toll to engage the Vitol team. Okay, going forward. It's been more than a month or close to a month. We've seen no action. And so our statement that we put out, we were clear in our mind what was happening and the type of lukewarm attitude that had been developed by the Ministry of Energy to move government's or president directive into action. What we have cited was a statement that they intended to put out to rebut what IES put out there. And in that statement that we intercepted, they are now saying that they have chosen Vitol and its partners for engagement. But for 1 month, they have not even appointed a transaction advisor to move forward. If they are not good, look for another person and move on. We don't have luxury of time.
And let me just say that I also have a copy of that statement that you intercepted. And some detail in there is worth interrogating in the coming days, indeed. But, Nana, what would a functioning refinery be of benefit to the Ghanaian people? Okay, I asked this question because I recall when I engaged the deputy minister, asked him the same question. Not very clear answers, but if you have a refinery that is functioning and operating at full capacity, how would it have benefited us, the Ghanaian people who are watching us? How would it have helped at least to ensure we don't have increase in transport fares, as I indicated, or the continuous increase in price of petroleum products at the pumps? And people can't even buy petrol now. 1 gallon gets finished because you are in traffic for so long. How would the refinery have impacted on us?
A functioning refinery that's linked to our upstream industry will be living the Nkrumah dream. And the dream was simple, that we must have our own energy security. Energy security doesn't mean just the supply security, price as well. And so we're going to benefit from supply security. We are going to benefit from fair price or low price as well. If you have your own refinery that can crack your own crude, you can't say it's not better than somebody's crude that has been cracked far away that you are going to import. It puts the money into the pockets of private individuals. But if you crack your own crude, you are sure that at every point in time, you can supply your country oil. You can also manage that international price risk because it is your crude. When it comes to even subsidizing, you know how to do it. You can use your own crude to subsidize this for Ghanaians. What will also be benefiting from a running refinery is that we'll grow more engineers. We'll get more engineers and we can export them for a fee.
Stay with us. This is Business Focus on TV3. We're live on TV3 Ghana on Facebook, DSTV channel 279, all across the world on 3news.com. Nana Mwesi the seventh is the Executive Director of the Institute for Energy Security. They have a detailed work on the Tema Refinery, made some proposals as to how to turn around the refinery for you and I to benefit. And remember, we are paying for the energy recovery levy. It's in the price build-up. That's one of the many taxes we pay. Now, that energy recovery debt, that levy we are paying for, is supposed to be used to revive or pay for the debt of toll. So the refinery is not working. It's incurring debts, and we are also not benefiting. And we are paying the debts. We'll be back shortly after this quick break. Stay with us. Welcome back to Business Focus on TV3. We're live on TV3 Ghana on Facebook, DSTV channel 279, all across the world on 3news.com. And Nana Mwesi the seventh is Executive Director of the Institute for Energy Security. With us in studio, our focus this evening is on the Tema Refinery. And the reason is, at a time like this, when prices of petroleum products are going up consistently, diesel now selling almost 14 cedis. Petrol now almost, that's over 12 Ghana cedis now. And it raises concerns about what a functioning refinery would have done for us as a people, especially because we are paying the debts that the refinery owes. Anytime you go to the pumps to buy fuel, the taxes on 1 liter of petrol or diesel, one of it is the debts of the refinery, which you're paying for. And it's only fair that a refinery that we are paying for, Nana, in terms of its debts, must benefit the people. But that's not what we are getting. So what is the way forward, in your view, looking into the affairs of the Tema Refinery to revive the fortunes of this dying refinery as we have it?
As at now, government is the sole owner of the refinery. It has proven that it is... it doesn't have the capacity to run such a business, and that it lacks that very skill and the management, skill required to run it. It is about time that we restructure toll so that government will cede part of its equity to a private hand that has capacity to run. When somebody else comes into the shareholding agreement or structure, what happens is that government control is diluted. And so on the board, there will be other people that have the experience and are non-government personalities that will be on the board. We have seen people who are just nominated to sit on the board or head board, the toll, who doesn't even have the required skill to do that. So we need to change that structure. The next thing that we do is we need to recapitalize toll. It needs money to produce even the kind of fuel that is environmental compliant. Mm-hmm. It needs money to procure the necessary feedstock. It needs money to defray the debts that sit in its books. It needs money to procure crude and run. It needs money to fix the lapses within the plants. The CD, the crude distillation units, the RFCC, the residual fluid catalytic cracker, and other components that exist in the system. Then we need to revamp toll, because we have just been running under 45,000 per day over the last 5 years. We need to inch it up because our demand as a country has grown beyond 85,000 barrels per stream day. And so we need to restructure toll, we need to recapitalize, and we need to revamp.
In recapitalization, do you recommend a private partnership or government take up the whole burden of recapitalizing the refinery?
Government have never been able to do that over the past years. It has even struggled to pay for the insurance of this national entity. And so we think that a private hand is important and it's welcome for us to restructure toll and recapitalize it so that we can see the necessary revamping required to bring the refinery to a level that will meet our daily demand and also crack crude to a level that will get bitumen and other petrochemicals out of it. That's where the refinery gets more money.
We have information that some three, and as you mentioned, the names of these three companies that have submitted proposals to partner the process that you talk about, the recapitalization and revival of the Tema Refinery are African Finch, Intercontinental, and DC Vitol. These three have submitted proposals. And you say that you have information that there's been a settlement on DC Vitol.
That's where we get the indication.
Proceed.
Yeah, now we are getting that indication to proceed, but it's taking quite a time for them to appoint a transaction advisor.
I see. So that's
to move the process forward. And we are saying that by virtue of the happenings on the local or the international market, where refinery margins are growing, where international price of fuel is impacting on us negatively, where other workers of toll are exiting to other places, it's important that we get a partner as soon as possible to bring the refinery back into operational mode.
Or we face the threat of losing the experienced engineers at all to Dangote and
and the rest.
The others that are coming on board. Nana, I thank you. I thank you so much for coming. And Nana Mwesi, the 7th, is the Executive Director of the Institute for Energy Security, one of the foremost energy CSOs we have on the continent of Africa. Nana, I appreciate your time as always.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for staying with us here on Business Focus. And you should be concerned about the state of affairs at the Tema Refinery because it impacts on all of us. Those who buy fuels in their cars and those who sit in public transport. Because with what's happening, all things being equal, fuel prices will be going up over time. And that will directly impact on the transport fares, which may go up, all things being equal, between 10 and 15% in the coming days. My name is Alfred Okanse. On behalf of the rest of the team, thank you for watching Business Focus. Good evening.